Yo, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video where I'm going to be showing you guys my weekly breakdown analysis as to what I'm going to be expecting for the coming week of June 26th. If you guys are brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe down below and turn on your post notifications. Drop a like if you guys want to see more of this type of content where I just show you guys any breakdown analysis, trade ideas, things of that sort, and just overall want to improve your trading. Now, with all of that being said and done, if you guys have any questions at all, be sure to also comment down below. And let's get straight into the breakdown. As you guys know, I like trading these three pairs: gold, GU, GJ. So just starting off with GJ, basically, I like to start off with the top-down analysis each and every single time that I do my breakdowns, just because of the fact that I'm much more of an intraday slash swing trader. And with an intraday slash swing trader, more or less, you're going to want to look into the higher time frames, start off of that, set your bias, and then slowly scale down into the lower time frame so you can get the most optimal entry to basically get in the trade, right? So starting off with GJ, analyzing how this weekly candlestick closed is looking back at the previous week. We had a massive rejection to the downside, and we managed to basically close above this previous level of support, resistance, right? So another level of support, right? Now looking into where we are at, it is a very interesting point in the weekly, and I can't quite say what I want to do off of this, but identifying market structure as a whole on our weekly time frame, we are very much so bullish. As you guys can see right here, we have a high, higher low, higher potential, higher high, because notice how these weekly candlesticks are closing higher than the previous week. Notice how on this week we close higher than this week, and scaling down into the lower time frames into our daily, we can get much more of a general idea of where we want to go with the trade setup, right? So notice how price basically failed to break above this daily level, but we haven't made a new lower low at this point, right? You guys can identify this as a previous low followed by another higher low, and price could very easily be making a new higher low right up here to basically start wedging and break up above this general area, scaling down into the lower time frame. So beginning off with our weekly and daily, I'm set for a bias of a bullish market because of the fact that we are continuously just trending to the upside, right? Not only that, but our SMAs are across to the upside, showing that we have a lot more buying momentum than we do have selling momentum. Now, if the case was these were flipped the other way, let's just say, for example, down here, you guys can see that we're in a massive downtrending market, continuously creating lower highs and lower lows. So more or less, we want to be continuing with the flow of traffic, with the flow of market orders and things of that sort. So we want to be looking for sells in the selling market, right? The trend is your friend. Now, identifying off of this, notice how we're consistently respecting our SMAs, and based off of our daily, notice how we basically rejected off of this SMA right here, right? So having the buy set of only looking for buys off of the bigger time frames, now we are going to scale down into the lower time frames and basically see what the lower time frames are starting to do, right? For example, the 4 hour, this is going to be my most ideal area where I'm going to basically identify if I want to get in on a reversal pattern, or if I want to, well, yeah, just a reversal pattern as a whole, or just continue with the trend, right? So looking into this 4 hour time frame, we can very much so starting to be reversing on this trend because of the fact that if you guys look at this market structure as a whole, we could potentially have some sort of a shift in structure. Notice how we basically, we're in a seller's market right here, creating lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. We had a massive stop hunt right here, and then price basically broke up above these previous highs, created a new higher low, higher high, and now price is basically starting to potentially reverse in the market. Notice how we have a low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and we can potentially be setting up for a break and retest and then the continuation back down, right? Very much so easily draw some fibs from this high to this low and basically continue to the downside, right? But if you guys understand market structure as a whole, there is internal market structure inside of the overall market structure, right? So scaling in off of the, let's just say, weekly time frame, like I mentioned, we are in a very much so bullish market. So we have a pullback, continuation, pullback, retest a previous structural level if price wants to do that. If not, we just have a little minor pullback, continuation, pullback, continuation, and things of that sort, right? Now, if I were to scale in onto the lower time frames, price is doing this. We are constantly trending to the upside, higher highs, higher lows. We have a little bit of a reversal. We have a counter trend set up right here. And then notice how we basically break up above structure, higher high, higher low, higher high. We have a little bit of a downtrending motion, and we continue with overall market structure as a whole, right? Like I mentioned, overall market structure on our daily and weekly is bullish. So looking into this 4 hour, I can't quite decide whether I want to have a bias set for a seller's market until we can make a new lower low. So until we basically break this low on this 4-hour time frame, that would be the point that I'd want to start selling. And if I want to be a little bit more passive on basically waiting for the most probable setup, is I'd want to wait for price to break below this weekly level, give me a retest for the continuation all the way back down to our next weekly level, right? Because like I mentioned before, I'm an intraday / swing trader. I do not like scalping at all, just because of the fact that the lower the time frame that you're trading on, the more of a risk that you have of basically getting clapped on the trade setup, right? So basically, like I said, looking into this 4-hour, I can't quite set a bias aside from I'd more or less want to be looking for sells until we break up above this general area right here. If you guys look, we have a minor level of resistance, resistance, resistance. But overall market structure as a whole on our daily and weekly, we are bullish, right? So I'd want to wait for a break, retest, continuation. Now, this is where it gets interesting. If you guys scale in onto the 1 hour, we are starting to make some sort of a wedge, right? So if you guys remember, there is internal structure within overall market structure as a whole. So noticing into this 1 hour time frame, we are starting to basically shift from a bearish market into a potential bullish market. What am I expecting? I'm waiting for these highs right here to break and then to give me a retest of market structure. Let me get rid of that, and notice how we are starting to form some sort of a wedge, right? Boom and boom. We have minor level of support, minor level of resistance. Ideally, like I said, is I want to wait for a break, retest, continuation back up to these highs / daily level as a whole. That is going to be my most optimal trade idea. I do not want to sell in this market. Excuse me, burp. Because of the fact that if you guys look into the daily and our weekly time frame, we are very much so bullish. I don't want to sell this market until we break below our weekly. Notice how price was basically creating a counter trend idea right here. Like I said and mentioned, we were in an overall bullish market. But once price broke down below this general area, notice how I waited for a retest and basically a continuation back down. We were starting to trade below previous level of resistance, support, resistance. I saw a 4-hour engulfing candlestick. I scaled it onto the lower time frames, and boom, we just fucking ripped straight down to the downside, catching a 6RR trade setup. You don't have to be trading every single night to be a profitable trader. You want to basically look at your overall trades and profitability from a month-to-month basis. Now, let me ask you, the audience, would you rather trade every single night and stress yourself over trying to force a trade setup, or find the highest probability setup? One of the biggest things that somebody told me whenever it comes to trading is stop trading for the dollar amount, because trading for the dollar amount, you're going to blow accounts, you're going to fail challenges, you're going to do all things of that sort. But the second you start trading for the highest probability setup, I promise you, your profitability will literally skyrocket because of the fact that you're only looking for the most optimal trade ideas. You want to plan each and every single one of your trade ideas, and you want to trade your plan. This is why I make these weekly breakdown analysis, because I want you guys to see exactly how I think with my personal trading strategy, with my personal patterns and things of that sort, right? So all in all, just to help you guys become a better and profitable trader as a whole. So now, now that we got that little rant out the way, scaling into this, like I said, simple break, retest, continuation, and I'm going to be looking for longs on GJ, right? Now that we have GJ basically said and done, like I said, looking into this 30-minute, you guys can see the shift in structure. We have a continuation of the downside, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, boom, 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 boom. And then we have a break of these previous level of resistance, then acting as a level of support. But why do we buy into a resistance if price hasn't given us a confirmation as to which way it wants to go? I can build up all the confluences in the world to take sells right here, and I can very much build up all the confluences in the world to take buys right here. But like I said, what is the weight of the bigger time frame? It is bullish. We want to get in onto a bullish market. We want to buy into the market. The trend is always going to be your friend. If I were to sell right now, I can almost guarantee you market open on Sunday night, we're just going to get absolutely obliterated. And it is much easier to basically just not trade and prevent a loss than to have that unnecessary loss, right? So that's going to be the breakdown for GJ. Like I said, I'm going to be looking for longs above this general area. Now scaling in onto GU. If you guys remember from the last weekly breakdown analysis, I did say as long as GU holds this level of support, I'm going to be looking for buys. We had this specific rip up right here. I got in on one of these candlestick variations right here. I can't quite remember, but it was somewhere in this general area on Sunday night. I had my stops right down below the low of a previous market structural level, and I was overall targeting breaking all the way up into these highs right here. Notice how price basically ran up about almost a 1-to-3 risk reward ratio before completely reversing back down. This is whenever I started to scale out of my position because of the fact that I saw potential reversal. Notice how we have a minor structural level of resistance followed by some sort of a candlestick print. What is this right here? This is a 30-minute bearish engulfing at a level of resistance. So whenever price gives me that and I can't get a solid break out of this specific area and a retest, more than likely price is going to start to basically retrace. Notice how price came all the way down here and did a massive stop hunt. If I were to have hold this position, not move my stops to break even, taken partials up here and just held my stop loss down here, I would have gotten absolutely fucking clapped, right? So you always want to manage your positions whenever it comes to trading. All in all as a whole. But anyways, I don't know why I was really getting into that because I'm trying to give you guys the breakdown analysis. But looking into the new position that I'm in right now, currently I'm holding this swing setup right here on GU because I want to see the continuation to the upside. Notice how we had a rejection right here followed by another rejection right here followed by another rejection right here and failure of closure below this head and shoulders right here, this head and shoulders pattern. You guys can see you got resistance, resistance, left shoulder, head, right shoulder right here, followed by a level of support, support. And if I were to look all the way left, excuse me, you guys can see support, a little bit of a fake out, support, continuation, things of that sort, right? So scaling in onto this, as long as we can maintain above, not only that, but we have another confluence of breaking out of this specific structural wedge and trading above our SMAs. I have all the confluences in the world to basically identify the shift in structure. Notice we have a low, we have a higher high, higher low, higher high, and notice how we basically broke these highs, we broke these highs, and now price came back down and retested. Simple market structure: break, retest, confirmation, entry. Simple, right? Now it did the same exact thing here. After we caught these buys right here, got stopped out for the rest of my position, break even, boom, we saw another market structure flip, break, retest, entry, boom, now we're in, right? So that's going to be GU. As long as we can maintain above this white area, like I said, I'm going to be continuing to basically swing GU all the way up into these highs right here. I can very much so see GU coming up all the way into these highs right here, and if not to our key psychological level of 24,500, right around this general zone. Once price can get into this general area, this is why I'm more than likely going to be starting to look for sells again if price wants to give me that, because overall market structure as a whole on GU is in the seller's market. Notice how we're basically wedging to the downside, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, boom, we have a breakout, lower high, lower low, and then we have a new lower. We failed to basically create a high, and we basically just continue to the downside, lower low, boom. This could very much so be a lower high. Price can do anything it wants within this general area right here, but at the second that we break up above this general area of resistance followed by a retest, I'm going to be more inclined to starting to really buy into GU. Like I said, this is a counter trend setup on the daily time frame. We are bearish on the daily, we are bearish on the weekly, but analyzing off of this weekly, notice how we have a massive rejection to the downside, which is why I potentially wanted to buy last week. Now scaling in onto this weekly time frame, notice how we closed bullish followed by a massive rejection. Now notice how we are at a structural level of previous resistance, support, support, a little bit of sloppiness followed by support, support, right? What are the probabilities that price basically starts to buy up off of that white level of my support level? Very much more probable. If I wanted to sell, I'd simply just wait for price to break down below this general area. My white support gave me a retest, just like it did right here, resistance, resistance, support, 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 to then continue all the way back down to our weekly level. But it makes much more sense to buy up on GU right now rather than to sell, right? Now, scaling off into gold, I want to sell gold as well. Notice how on our weekly time frame, like I mentioned last week, I did want to basically buy gold because of the fact that we basically had rejections off of these previous levels of minor resistance, right? Now, scaling in onto this, where this weekly is, we closed below. What am I inclined to do now? I'm wanting to sell because of the fact that one of my confluences is we failed to break up above this strong level of support, strong level of resistance, 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 and price basically flopped bearish. Now we have 2 weeks closing bearish. Scaling in onto our daily time frame, notice how we are starting to have a shift in structure. We have a low broken right here from this market structural level. We have a new lower high and this could potentially be the new lower low. Notice how this daily candlestick closed Maribozu very strong to the downside, and we managed to close below this level of resistance. We have resistance, 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 blah, 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 right? Now, we have a retest of our daily, and we failed to close above. Simple break and retest pattern. Now, scaling it onto the lower time frames, notice what else we see. We see massive upside rejections on gold. As long as gold can maintain below this general white level, I'm going to be looking for sells to minor levels like this, and then my overall target would be all the way down to this 1786 area. But more or less, like I said, right around this general point, especially if it is a 1-to-3 risk reward ratio, I can very easily take sells right here, market open, or if not, be a little bit more patient, wait for a retracement all the way back up into this general area, maybe a potential stop hunt, and then, like I said, target these lows right here. This is a very nice for our trade setup. This is only 30 pips away from an ideal entry that I'd want to take, right? But the second that price starts to break up above this general area, I would literally just want to wait for daily candlestick to close back above, because that showed me that this candlestick right here is a fake out to the seller side, and we could potentially buy back up, right? But like I said, scaling it onto the weekly, scaling it onto the daily, I'm going to be more inclined to selling gold. I'm going to be more inclined to buying GU. I'm going to be more inclined to buying GJ. So now, like I said, you start off with a top-down analysis. What is the bigger time frames doing? And then you start scaling it onto the lower time frames to basically optimize your entry. Now, with all of that being said and done, these are my top 3 trade setups that I'm going to be looking for. Sells on gold, GU buys, GJ buys. If you guys have any questions at all, or got any help from this video, like I said, be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you guys would like to see more of this type of content. And if you guys have any questions at all, be sure to DM me on, or actually I already said, YouTube comments. Comment down below if you guys want access to my signal room, where I basically call each and every single trade setup that I personally take, see any live breakdowns, things of that sort. Be sure to check out the Telegram down below. Join my free Telegram. I have the signal room as well, things of that sort. And let me stop talking because I'm kind of thirsty right now. So like I said, if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Drop a like if this video did help you out in any way, shape, or form. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.